so blurred in the background. What's that option? Is that normal? For the background to be like really blurred like that?
No, this looks new.
It's
like
does.
Portrait style.
Did we set it to that way?
I didn't set it, no.
That's interesting.
Let me jump on really quick.
Do we look like we're in portrait mode to you guys? Or are my eyes acting up? That background looks all blurred. We didn't do that on purpose.
Very focused right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, look, and it's working.
And it's working. Yes. Morning. I know I should probably have like legit set times for these because, you know, the last 2 days it's not even saving the lives. Like it's letting me save them, so it saves to my phone, and then it's letting me playback, and then it's telling me to share. So I hit share, but it doesn't share, and I'm hearing that a lot of other people are kind of having that issue. So morning, guys. So I don't know what's going on. I'm starting to save everything to my, it's the TRS making you glow. I didn't realize there was this option to do this. It's so weird. So like if I back out, do I get blurry?
No.
And you're in focus?
I'm staying in focus the whole time.
That's weird.
You can't see.
It's just scanning. It's just scanning us.
There you go.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
That's interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening with my lives. I guess I don't know what's happening with a lot of lives. So.
Are they targeted lives? Maybe.
No. I think that's just paranoia at this point.
Censorship.
Sorry if you guys are trying to. I know a lot of you who are commenting are saying that it's photographer mode. I know a lot of you who are leaving messages that you say that you like to listen to these after work and you're not able to see them. I mean, I'm throwing them up on a YouTube link for now before YouTube takes those down. So yeah, other people are saying their lives aren't working. I don't know what's going on. They're probably doing routine maintenance on lives. There's probably a required maintenance going on lives right now. So
the question is, do you know this person? Oh, you do? We're going to take you down.
Yeah, what do they talk about? What do they talk about live that we can't edit through? Okay, so a lot of you by now have likely seen last night's highlight in the stories with what's going on in New York. You already know what's happening. Currently, it's not in that Rockland community. This is in Brooklyn, still another gun-free zone / fun-free zone. And it's really, really disappointing, depressing. There's a lot of words for it, right, with what's going on over there. It's such a weird time. And yeah, the irony in that the Nuremberg trials that happened after World War II, stated that the voluntary human consent is necessary for any medical procedure. Any, not just the ones that come with risks. Like, literally, if something was 100% safe and worked, the voluntary human consent is necessary. And wow, that this is happening in these Orthodox Jewish communities. And I honestly don't. The only way that they could enforce this would be if people are calling in on their neighbors, which is exactly what they did to the Jews during the start of all of this, the beginning, before they were throwing them into the, human ovens that they stationed. I'm in shock. And our 14th Amendment provides, currently, if you look up the 14th Amendment, it provides that no state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The principle that a competent person has a constitutionally protected liberty, interest in refusing unwanted medical treatment may be inferred from our prior decisions. So we are now debating all of these things, everything going on. Like the topic is taking away medical freedom actually directly opposes our constitutional rights, okay, as citizens of this country. Unless you're a sovereign citizen, then you don't even have to deal with any of this. P.S. I won't bring up sovereign citizen again after just now that I did.
They don't teach us in schools anymore.
Your kids don't belong to you if they have a birth certificate.
I feel like
They
they
just
keep
don't.
this.
They're not your kids. You give them a birth certificate. They're owned. They're owned by the banks and corporations. That's their.
You said you weren't going to get
I
into
said
it.
I wasn't going to get into it, but whatever.
But
There you go.
You have to light that fuse to that TNT.
It's not the and seriously, Senator Pan, that, you know, I wish
Should I play that song?
you could just get 5 minutes in a room with that guy. What?
The Pan and Away.
I don't know. Jeff found a song the other day.
Let's see if we can play it.
It sounds too light and airy to be a song about him, but
Yeah, but it sounds like it needs to be him going away.
Pananawe.
Yeah,
Pananawe.
let's see if we can hear it.
From what movie is this?
Only the Strong.
Only the Strong. There's a bunch of us aviators. Panaway. You know, there's an oil for that, Panaway. The entire
Which is what struck me to look for this.
the entire California needs to just be doused in that. So, you know, just
Pan away, pan and away.
Pananawe. Pananawe. That's actually, yeah, but it seems too jolly for how I'm feeling.
It is, well,
just
you would
feels
feel
too
that
jolly.
way if Pan was away.
You'd have to, yeah. So I guess, yeah. Actually, you know, if he finally is gone, I could see all of us in the street, barefoot, dancing to
for
that. Oh my gosh, we have a new theme song. Yeah, we do. Oh my, I'm in shock. And you still. What's scarier with all of this is the people that are for this, because I had to go on my Facebook today, and you know, with posts that people want to share, they have to become public. So I wake up the next day and I expect a lot of the trolling. I let the troll comments stay on there if, you know, as long as there's no direct insults, threats to my kids, which most of them end up being. So many of them who are even denying that the Holocaust actually happened, clearly another thing I'd have to jump down and look into, but they were just saying that you can't compare the two. They're like, why are you guys comparing what's happening right now to the Jews to what happened to them, you know, back in World War II? And it's like, how can you not? They are a targeted group of people, and why just that? There's more than just the Orthodox Jewish community that doesn't vaccinate, right? So they are being targeted, and they are being forced to do something that goes against their religious beliefs. It goes against their personal beliefs. This is not a rocket science thing to put together, and they're being forced into doing something, and the threat is prison time, a fine. So I don't see how you cannot compare the two, right?
And when you are comparing the two, you need to also look in history and see what happened prior. Like, what was the buildup? What were the steps that the powers took in order to be able to do what they did, which was horrible. And it was taking away rights, censoring, and unarming.
Yeah.
Because it is much harder to do what they did if everyone was armed.
Yeah. I think that people aren't looking at the bigger picture here. And what they had to do was they had to scare the public. They had to scare everybody else into what was wrong with the Jewish community, and that they were taking everybody's jobs, and that they were the ones that were, you know, it was years of buildup with this hatred. And then considering that they didn't have like the social media back then to do this, it was just in their news though. But they painted them out to be these terrible people. So people who were born into just like not caring about that, suddenly within just a few years were convinced by their government that those people were dangerous and awful. So it was a complete divide and conquer. And that's what's happening now, because you have so many people that on the opposite end of this that literally think that you are the one that your kid who currently has no poison in their system, okay, no disease that they're carrying, they really with all of their heart think that your kid is a bigger threat than their kid who has the risk of shedding.
How does that even make sense?
In a perfect world, or a world that makes sense, you would think that the person that was injecting the known neurotoxins into their kids, that person is the threat to the kid. That person is the one that CPS should be called on. Like, I wouldn't do it regardless, but really, that's the crazy that we're dealing with. Nobody was able to really even prove me wrong from yesterday when I said that, this science, this whole science religion, it's complete witchcraft. Vaccines are witchcraft, it's going on, like Revelation, like everything that it's so topsy-turvy nowadays, what we're dealing with. The parents who the other side are like rooting that they get their kids taken away from them are the parents that are indeed protecting their kids, that are the most caring of their kids because they've done the research. They didn't blindly follow this nonsense. It doesn't take a lot to wake up to this. And you got to ask yourself, if you're confused by this movement, why do you think that the movement is to begin with? Like, do you think that a bunch of parents, like Jeff and I, just woke up one day and said, yeah, let's go against this entire system. Like, let's just do the opposite. It was that everybody now, how many of us now know somebody who has been injured or currently have a child who's injured? You believe the science is the false prophet. Well, wow. I want more kids, but I'm scared to know. I'm scared to know. A lot of people are, but you know what? These kids are going to be, they're going to be that next generation that now has to put up with all of this crap. We're dealing with with what our parents put us through. So I kind of I'm so torn because a lot of our parents have that attitude, right? Of like, well, they're already older, they've lived their life. And so, this isn't really their problem. It's our problem. It's our generation's problem. And it's like, it's because of your generation that we're in this mess right now. It's because of you guys that thought that would be a good idea. That forgot that when you were kids, your parents weren't as concerned about these measly diseases. Your parents weren't as weak, or lazy. That would look at, like, who could look at that? Who could seriously look at what the measles is like? Okay, all of these cases of the measles PS that are happening in this country right now, where are all the survivors? Hello? This outbreak, this danger, this emergency, can all the survivors please stand up? Who survived? Okay, where are you guys? Can you share your story? Can you share the harrowing details of having to be at home for a week with that rash? Can you talk about it, please? Can any of you come up and talk about how devastating that was to go through that and get lifelong immunity? People are like, oh, you guys are just so afraid of needles. Like, just go and get it done. It's better than having the measles. Is it though? Because
look at the effects of that.
But you need booster after booster. Like, so it's not just like one afternoon out of your life where you have to go and get this done and okay, it's done. First of all, many of these have been proven to not work. Many people who've had the boosters, number one, still get the measles, okay? Or they'll still get the mumps, as we saw with that entire naval fleet, okay? Oh wait, no, they got parotitis. They didn't get the mumps, they got parotitis. But where are all of the survivor stories? I mean, they're out there, right? I'm like, hello.
Actually, you know what? And I should write a book. I survived the measles 1986.
That was a good year to survive it because the following year you would have had to go and get all.
It'll be, one full chapter, big words, double space.
Monica, you're right.
Size 16
yeah, they
font.
do. They won't necessarily prevent 100% because obviously there's a lot of other environmental things that can cause that as well, but they do help if you beat it naturally. What have we done? What have we done to our immune systems? This is insane. And I love Dr. Ron Paul, a total libertarian at heart right here, but He states that the rise of mandatory and forced vaccination should send a chill up every single American spine. The government that can force you to accept any kind of medicine and inject you against your will is totalitarianism at its worst. And it really is. Any kind of medicine. A lot of you who are like for vaccines, I've noticed you still space them out. You're not up to date. And there's still a few that you're like, meh, not really that one. Okay, well, then you should be on the same side here, because this is a fight for medical freedom. You know, it's just what's happening right now with this country is...
It's infuriating.
Yeah.
It's saddening, maddening.
Things are getting heated. You can feel it.
And just because, you know, if you're on the other side of the country, don't think that it doesn't concern you. It will, and it does. It's going to travel.
It'll concern you, but why are they? I mean, it's interesting.
And don't
right
wait.
there.
Don't wait till it gets to your neighborhood. It needs to be stopped.
Do you guys think that CBS Dallas Fort Worth is going to retract what they said for that mom? So the only reason I'm sharing that picture is because CBS shared that picture, okay? But this mom, Dawn Belcher Neufeld, she had posted, and her whole profile was public. She posted a picture of her son. It looked like this, okay? This was her son, and this was a photo of him after he received the MMR. He had a terrible reaction, and so she posted up this picture. Well, the news took this story, CBS took this story, and they used it saying that it's because he got the measles, when the mom now said this is not because he got the measles, this is because he got the measles vaccine. That's why he had that terrible reaction. So this mom is a lawyer, and I really hope that she sues them for everything, and not just sues them, but I hope that they have to now come out and apologize and correct it. Not just apologize for taking this image when they shouldn't have, but she's saying that they're using her child's picture for their story without her permission, and her son Will does not have the measles. So, really, WTF, CBS? What are they doing? I mean, I really hope that they correct that. That's embarrassing, you know? But, hey, that reaction is not rare. It's gonna, I mean, the sad thing is if they do report it and retract it, they're gonna comment that it's rare. It's rare for that to happen. How do you get medical exempt for vaccines in case they're pushing Tdap for 6th grade? I don't know. What state do you live in? Medical exempts are available in all the states to begin with. So you'd have to find a pediatrician who is willing to give you an exempt, but you're probably gonna have to pay them at least $400. I've heard $400 because that's the bonus that they would have received from pharma to push the entire schedule on your kid anyway. So good luck with that. I'm done running though. I don't know, a lot of you are done running, right? Who's done? Who's done? Because does it matter? Does your medical exempt even matter anymore? You got all these people in California freaking out. They've had a medical exempt, and now I've had so many messages in this inbox. I'm screenshotting them. I actually might post them later with crossing off some of your names, okay? Because not to showcase and really highlight the desperation, because the whole thing is really sad. But many of you who already had medical exempts, you're getting notices from your schools that are saying that you need a current one. Even though you're medical exempt, you thought your kid was scot-free for the next 18 years of their life. Sorry, they need new information now. Maybe the excuse that you had, or the allergy that you reported, or the autoimmune disorder that ran in your family doesn't matter anymore. You know, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to say that even if, that's why this SB 276 is so important to keep your eye on right now, because what they want to say is that, let's say your firstborn had a seizure and turned blue and the whole thing after a series of vaccines. Before, that used to be able to allow the siblings that exempt. Our poor first children, right? Our first kids are already, they're the guinea pigs regardless of poison or not. They're the guinea pigs already in life. You've never been a parent before. This is new to you. They're going to get the brunt of everything, these poor first children. And God, my heart just seriously goes out to all these parents. And so now that your first has already been through this, what this bill is saying is that doesn't matter. That even with the mom and dad being the same and genetically that reaction is likely to happen again with another kid, even if it happened with a sibling, it doesn't matter. That sibling is still going to need to undergo the vaccines. And then you read up on a lot of these forums of these like scary mommy type sites where they're totally it's no more poking fun. They're like pointing us out like we're the enemy. You read these comments and there's these parents that are like, yeah, I have 3 kids that are all autistic. It's genetic. Really? Then why aren't you? Why isn't your husband? Oh, it's just now genetic. Convenient. Stop calling it genetic, you guys. I don't know of that many autistic, well, not yet, but I don't know of many that are in their 30s and 40s. Do you? Are we really playing dumb here? Are we playing dumb? Is that what's going on right now? I'm in Cali. My daughter had a seizure to the Hep B, and they won't give her an exemption. That's criminal. That's criminal. The fact that they won't just let you decide and dictate what you want to do with your own kid with a product that comes with risks, that's criminal.
California's criminal right now.
California
Everything that's going
sucks.
on is criminal.
I'm sorry. You're in California. You got to get out.
And it's happening, and nothing's changing, and they're just going to bring more and more in.
And you know what? The people that are staying there, that are creative, that they're like, they got plan B, C, D, and I can respect that too. I got friends who they're like, okay, well, if this happens, we're doing this next. If this happens, we're doing this next. We're all playing rats right now, okay? We're all in this little bit of a rat race, guinea pig, like avoid the needle, That's the game that everybody in California is playing right now. And I do applaud the people that are like, nope, we're going to ride it out as long as we want to, as long as we can, because they actually have plans set in motion. Plans that they don't want to share with you. And that's okay, because I only had a handful of doctors that I was able to refer in California. 3 of them within the past 2 years have told me to no longer refer them. They're afraid too. Katie, I don't know why you can't view these lives afterwards. I think it's an IG thing because a lot of people are having issues with their lives. But even the other doctors, I just don't even want to refer them anymore. Like, you want to put your kids first, you go and do that. You got to get creative for your kids. You got to figure it out. Everyone needs to be supporting CHD with the fraud case they are bringing forth this summer. Yeah, Samantha is on point with that. We're done playing defense here. Like, for us, what are we all going to do? I mean, are we really all going to just move to middle America? And then, like, I don't know. I just think of that scene.
Defend from both sides of the country.
That scene in Gladiator. Just one huge circle. Everybody's just together, band together.
Gosh, that's unfortunate.
I love that movie, Gladiator. He had a lot of very, very valid points in that movie. When you're separated like that, right? It is so much easier to pick at you one by one. But when you are all together, when you do all come together, that's much harder. And the only reason that people even started taking my posts in the past 10 years seriously is because throughout the years, it was a slowly but surely type of thing, but throughout the years, the people that I garnered weren't people that I was convincing with my words. They were parents of vaccine-injured children, okay? Parents who thought I was crazy. I had a dad and mom who hired me over 8-9 years ago for a family session in San Diego. They still follow me to this day. Their story was really sad. It was one of the first cases of SIDS that I had heard of where I actually knew the couple. And they had lost their first child to SIDS. And I remembered that they were crying, and, we were doing this family session because now she just had another baby. And this was like, but for them, it was like, she's our second, our first is going to be this girl, and beautiful daughter. And the dad is heartbroken, worked for Northrop Grumman, but he worked for, he just couldn't understand. They're like, we had just taken her in and the doctor had just told us that she was okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. They're like, yeah, like, and then, less than 2 days later, she was gone. And this was 9 years ago. I mean, I think I was still pregnant with my first, going, so she just died in her sleep. They're like, yeah, in the crib, we put her in the crib, the way that she was supposed to be, and we checked in on her that next morning, and she just was no longer breathing. And I was like, and literally after that session, went home and was just nonstop with, do babies just die in their sleep? Because I'm pregnant now, newly pregnant, and freaking out, realizing then that many parents had the same story. We just took them into the doctor just told us that they were okay. What? And not realizing what they were doing at these doctor visits. I was thinking it could have been anything else. Maybe it was the way that they put them into the car seat wrong. Maybe they blocked some kind of breathing because of the way that they were strapping them in. Maybe, none of it made sense. I'm just saying, people don't just wake up one day and are like, yep, I'm going to just be against all of that. That this is like a long process to suddenly be against all of that, And like every case then became the same. Every case. And then you have these parents who go and pay for the additional autopsy because one will come back and it'll just say unknown. Just unknown. Do you know how in depth and in detail they get with these medical exams and these, when you're going through things like murder trials? Do you know how in depth they get? And to say that the science is settled, yet you're listing the cause as unknown. Who are these people and what are they doing? What kind of science are you performing? That you can't figure that out. You can't put one and one together, and you could with confidence say, we know it wasn't this, but we don't know. Well, then what do you know? If your cause of death is unknown, how do you say with 100% certainty, but it's not this?
That's an easy scapegoat for the vaccine company.
And this is why, I love when Dell points out how these vaccine courts work. He's like, it's a complete kangaroo court system. It is the murderer doing their own forensics. What else could it be? What else could it be? These parents are now, obviously, if the child isn't killed by the needle, and now they're just forever dependent on the pharmaceutical system because of problem after problem, that is already toxic enough for a marriage. We can get into how hard year one of having a baby is when you're newlyweds. It's not easy for the marriage to begin with. Throw in a child that now can no longer communicate with you and is just not the same child. Then the blame goes back and forth with each other, because the mom is the one that's at home the entire time with the baby, typically, and she's going crazy. And just consider what these parents are going through and why they made the decision to not. So instead of just thinking, wow, all of these people are just trying to inflict harm on others, do you ask, if you're still on that fence, do you ask why these parents just decided to stop? Or are you just so glued and attached to whatever CNN and MSNBC want to tell you about these people that are detriments to society out of just, you really think it's a just cause? That many people woke up one day?
That's how well the government and social media,
it's pretty well orchestrated.
All outlets have pretty much covered it all up.
It's hard enough, you guys have a baby. My heart is broken for all these parents. So throughout the years, just more and more of them were not only following, but then sharing, getting braver. Like, well, you know what? Sometimes it takes you first have to get over the guilt, shock, anger. You go through all of the emotions. And then whenever you're ready to share your story, you begin to share. And once these moms start sharing and these dads start sharing, you cannot put that fire out. You just cannot put that fire out because the worst has already happened. The damage has already been done. The damage has already been done, so you gaslighting them further is not going to bring their kid back anyway. It's not going to reverse what happened to their child. They just want freaking answers. Do you people not get it? The ones who are on the fence, that these vaccine court things, that when people settle out of court, because you cannot sue them. When you accept a settlement, number one, you have to be quiet. Many of them, there's like a 20-year limit that you cannot speak on this trial in this case. And if you take this money for the damage that they caused to your kid, you can never go after them again for the same thing. That's how a settlement works. But you have these people who are now finally ready to start speaking out on this injustice. And the thing is, when the court and the trial awards them this money, which was, if you see the process of how it works to even get the settlement, the proof that you need to provide to them because they didn't do the science, so you need to use science that they should have provided. By the way, that's how this thing works. It's you against the secretary of the HHS when you go to court for this kind of thing, okay? You have to understand how that works. I have a highlight that breaks that down a little bit called vaccine court. Many of these parents, though, when they get, when you know that judgment finally comes out that you didn't do this to your child, they break down. They break down because they needed somebody to tell them it was not their fault that this happened to their kid, okay? So it's like that's all they needed to hear for years and years and years. I mean, you guys think that this stuff isn't real? That this stuff doesn't exist? Yeah, we got measles outbreaks in certain states, but what about this? Literally okay? This is like a law firm that handles vaccine injury. Look at all of these cases that they've had, either vaccine injury or SIDS. And these are all the clients that they've helped. This law firm, it's ccandh.com for 30 years. How come it's not?
And that is one law
It's
firm
not like,
too. So keep
okay.
that in mind.
For 30 years, attorneys at this law firm, right, have represented thousands of vaccine-injured people across the country. All claims must be filed with the United States Court of Federal Claims located in Washington, D.C. And Jeff was right. This is just one law firm that deals with this. And you can scroll through and see how many people, what case, what docket number, what happened, okay? This one is a recent one. 35-year-old female received a flu vaccine and developed SIRVA. Treatment included physical therapy, MRI, steroid injections, and surgical intervention. She was awarded $126,000. Still not worth it to me, okay? Look at this. These are just the cases they've done. This one in particular. Look at all of this money that's been awarded out. You want to still look at me and tell me that this kind of stuff doesn't happen? That injuries don't exist? Really? Who's awarding these people? Go look up these cases. It's all there for you to see. Okay? All of it. Look at this. It's nonstop. It is nonstop. You want to tell me how many measles cases again that there are in New York State? How many people have the fricking measles? And they're fine? ccandh.com. Look up vaccine injury case results. Okay? Look at this one. They have known about this. Why isn't this on the news? Let's look at some large sums here. Okay, that's a decent sum. February 25, 2008. There's the docket number. 37-year-old female developed MS following administration of the Hep B vaccine. Guess what? Side effect of the Hep B vaccine is MS. So you got these parents that are like, oh my gosh, my baby's got MS after 2 months of being born. How? How is that possible? Awarded a lump sum of $225,000. Okay? This stuff, you want to still tell me that this stuff doesn't exist? You want to still pretend? Let's still pretend. Is that what we're doing here? That was a lot of cases. That was page 1, by the way. Page 1. Just click on vaccine injuries. Thank you, Samantha. This is insanity. This is crazy right now. But what are we gonna do? Should we check in on one of the 26 people in New York State right now that have the measles? Should we do that? You guys look up old newspaper articles, even from just the late 80s, early 90s. of like thousands of cases in certain counties that had the measles. And the way that they reported it was like, there's been of an outbreak in this county right now. There's about 3,486 cases of the measles. Okay, so moving on, what's next in the news? Like, no big deal. Just not a big deal. Be sure to stay at home. I love this. I love how they also want to advise you. If you have the measles, stay home. Wow. Innovative. That's mind-blowing. Thank you for that advice. You know, that...
Yeah, but once the vaccine companies are able to make money off of it, then it becomes an epidemic. Everything will become...
It's an epidemic when they have... Yeah, you're right. You're so spot on with that. Let's wait for the next thing.
You know what? All this money they're awarding out, all this money, people always wanting money. Is it worth your child's life? Is it worth your child being disabled for the rest of their lives? I mean, if you have kids, look at them right now and just, they're perfect, you know? And then you want to follow the masses and get them vaccinated and all this poison, and then they're never going to be the same again.
Well, and I like to tell people too, look at the herd, okay? This herd that's literally pitchforks right now, who are demanding that if you don't do this, you'll lose your kids. This same herd, look at them. Look at them, how they act, how they speak, how they think. And then you tell me, is that same herd gonna be there for me if and when something happens to my kid? Probably not. Probably not. This same herd is speaking out for the greater good. Do you guys know what the greater good means? The greater good means that if your child dies for the greater good, it's okay. As long as it's for the greater good. And people are not putting that together. Your friends and family, so, okay, the troll thing online, the strangers online that are gonna hate on you, like, I get how if somebody who is knee-deep in watching, you know, CNN, MSN, like all of this garbage news, all of it, all mainstream media is garbage news, okay? If I've got a neighbor or a friend, not even a friend, okay, a neighbor who doesn't know me that watches that all day long, you know, and they think that way of my kids, like, that's so dangerous. And it shouldn't shock us because many of us have immediate family members and we have immediate relatives and friends who don't even want us at their kids' birthday parties anymore if our kids aren't vaccinated. When it should be the opposite way. If you just gave birth to a baby, your worry should be in all of the recently vaccinated kids because those signs are up in NICUs, they're up in cancer wards that the recently vaccinated are the ones shedding. But you got these moms and dads who have the nerve.
Twisted.
Who have the nerve to post up signs like, don't come around my baby unless you've had your shots. Grandma. Okay, Grandma? I love you, Grandma, but unless you go and get the flu shot because the flu's going around, you know, oh, if you don't want the shot, go and get the mist. Because that mist is, I know it's 18% effective, Grandma, but, and I know that it's probably in the next 10 years, I'm going to scratch my head and wonder how you have Alzheimer's because it runs in our family, right? That aluminum in the brain too, but go and get that done, Grandma. Go and get that done, or else you can't touch my baby. And,
sorry, I'm looking at Grandpa over there.
I don't want to be mean, but I've been mean on this before. It's not mean. I will tell you this if you have that thought mentality or if you've done this to your friends and family. Nobody wants to hold your baby that badly. I promise you. Okay? Half of the people that post this stuff, your baby's not even that cute. Sorry. Trigger alert. Your baby, when it comes out, looks like a moldy, pruned up sponge. Trigger alert. It's not cute. It's just not. We've shared on this before. Which mom on here had admitted that their baby looked like a potato when they came out? So also, don't tell me that my kids look like me. Don't tell me that. Like, how many people are like, oh my God, he looks just like you. I'm like, all our kids looked like Fu Manchu when they came out, okay? They looked like, what did I say?
Beard and all. No,
Mr.
McGee.
Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi. Wax on, wax off. I was like, don't tell me that my newborn looks like me. I'm offended. I am offended. All of our babies, I mean, they cute up, right? Okay, our babies cute up. Well, whose baby looked like a burrito? Drea.
Burrito.
Don't tell us that, okay? So for you parents, first of all, the best time to hold a baby is when they're kind of chunkier, so you could squish them a little bit. You don't want to hold a newborn baby. You're like, what do I do? The head keeps bobbing like this, like a bob toy. Like, what do I do with this? You don't want to hold the baby when they're like that anyways. They're boring when they're like that. You want to hold them when they're like starting to lift themselves a bit. This part's getting like that roll right here. The skin's overlapping on each other. They're getting like a lot of this stuff. Bit of man boob situation for little boys, the chunk up, the legs. That's when you want to grab them and you just want to like, look at you. That's when you want them, okay? You don't
And then the
want
baby starts crying because you're squeezing too hard.
You don't want it to, seriously, like who do you think you are that people really give that big to like touch your baby? And if you're a family member that you're like, oh my gosh, my niece was just born, I can't go see her because my kids are not good. You don't want your kids around that anyway. You don't, because they were probably vaccinated in the hospital, okay? You don't want your kids around that right away anyway. We'll wait it out. We'll wait. That's okay. Don't you want to see my baby? Because if you want to see my baby, you better be completely up to date. Yeah,
Like,
okay.
well, good thing we have technology. We can FaceTime with your baby. There you go. I'll hold your baby like this.
Can we
Put your baby right
FaceTime
above
with
my
your
hand.
baby? Can we FaceTime so that when your baby cries, it can be like, oh, someone's here,
Got another
gotta
call
go.
coming in. Everybody looks at the door.
Oh, yeah, I gotta water my plants. I just remembered. Have fun with that, with the newborn. I don't want to see your baby. I don't want to hold your baby. Good luck with that. Sorry. Newborn
Not sorry,
babies are
not
no,
sorry.
like, it's not like the hand of Midas. Like, oh my, we gotta go and see it. Gotta go and see it. Give me that baby. No one wants your newborn baby. Get over yourself. Seriously. Irritating. I'm sorry. I usually preface these lives. If this is your first live, please jump off. Please jump off and watch 5 of my highlights. I forgot to put that warning. Warning! You know?
You're like, it's too late. We're hooked. We're already hooked. We gotta finish this one out.
Sorry. Nobody cares. Like, nobody cares. And the moms that are like, oh, my husband's going back to work. You better go and get the whooping cough vaccine like I did. I'm sorry. See, I'm sorry. I had him go and get the whooping cough vaccine not knowing he was getting diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. Okay, and I was like, well, you're the one that's going back to work and they're freaking us out at the hospital. Can you just get this? Because, you know, I just had the baby and I'll be at home with her. He goes and gets it and then he's like miserable for a week. So now I'm dealing with a baby at home and a baby child, you know?
And
we're
very
detoxing
lucky.
from that.
I was very lucky that, I only felt crappy for a week. It could have been way, way worse. So I'm thankful to God that nothing else happened aside from that.
Yeah. Besides that, I don't know. You guys, I think we're like taking we're putting way too much attention on what these babies look like day one, okay? There's nothing special really about that. There's not. I mean, our babies, it was mostly, I just remember with Amelia, it took forever. It was in the worst position to give birth, which is like the number one position in this country.
Hair. I see hair.
Oh, they were screaming at me. They gas masked me, okay? I was like, they put a mask on my face because I was losing it. I was like losing it, freaking out. They didn't want to hear me because I kept telling her, I want this stuff off of me. I was like, my body wants to turn. Remember with the nurse?
Yeah.
I was like, I want to turn. I had nurses hold me down, talk about trauma. 2 nurses held me down. They asked my dad, who was behind me. He didn't want the front row show, which is okay. He was behind me, just like holding me here. Jeff was helping one of the nurses hold me. It's literally like a scene from a horror movie. I started saying, I want to turn, get these things off of me. Because they didn't want to maybe hear me say that anymore, they were like, shh, it's okay. They put a mask over my face. One of those.
Oxygen mask.
So then I was masked up. I thought at that point I was going to die. And all they were screaming, we see the hair, we see the hair, we see the hair.
That's because
They were
all we saw was hair.
Screaming
so
that
much hair.
they were screaming that for like 5 to 10 minutes. It felt like forever. When she finally lifted this off, because I was like, is there a face?
Yeah.
Is there a face? Is there a nose? Hello, what am I giving birth to? Like a monkey? Like I just...
Hit, cousin hit.
What a terrible experience. Explains a lot, you know? She finally comes out 39 hours later with this long labor. They're like, do you want to hold your baby? I was like...
A turkey sandwich.
I want a sandwich. Because they didn't let me eat. Never again, Kay. That night and day from my births. Poor first children, you guys. Poor first children.
But you know what? Now that the information's out there, share it. Share those experiences so other people can make informed decisions and
You have to.
share the right facts.
Stops, you know. There is so much wrong with the birth process. I don't want to spend way
It's
too
a
much time on
business.
that,
It's a business now.
yeah.
I think there's even a documentary on that too, about how it's all a business.
Oh, I think you were going to talk about your thing, you know. Well, let's end on a good note because I got to go to like 2 insurance meetings after this and then but I'm going to do I'm probably going to do a live later on today. One of my best friends is in town and she is definitely, she's not as vocal as I am in this, but she is one of those, you know, that everything in her house has gone sustainable, organic. She's been that person for the longest time in my life. So actually our conversations, our back and forths are pretty interesting. And she's like way over there where I'm like trekking that way, but I'm way over there when it comes to the dark path conspiracy stuff to look into. So like when she hangs out with me, her husband is like, okay, go have fun at that lunch. But also when I hang out with her, I come back with, Jeff, we can't eat this anymore. Jeff, we can't do this anymore to the backyard. We can't do this. We can't do that. And he's just like, So
Like,
you
there's
need
not enough
friends
hours
like
in the
that
day.
in life. You need friends like that in life. And I think I'm going to see her around 1-ish today. And we'll probably do a live.
Oh my gosh, I have to mentally prepare for that now until he comes home.
Yeah, just prepare yourself. But do you want to talk? Okay, so when we said grow your own, we did. Look at this portrait mode on the live. It's so interesting.
Looking fine.
Okay, so last year we did a.
We'll light it up.
We had this thing called a tower garden, and so it's aeroponic. A lot of you who were following me last year, right? Is it aeroponic?
Hydroponic. We're growing inside.
Well, no, but because the water comes up through this thing, it looks like we're growing something illegal here. But I don't know if you guys seen
It
these.
probably is illegal. It will be illegal.
It's going to be illegal
grow
soon.
your
But
own
last
stuff.
year we successfully, and actually this time of year is really nice. It could be outside in the good weather, but we're in the desert. So we were able to successfully grow Swiss chard, kale, bok choy.
That kale was so bomb.
So Jeff's the one who sets
So
this.
bomb.
So he put, the writing could be cuter. That's Jeff's writing. I'm going to
Yes.
write it cuter on there.
Yeah.
We use those but so anyway, we got lettuce going here. This is going to be some bok choy.
The kale's coming in nice.
We're going to have our kale. And each of these things, so it's growing on rock wool. This is rock wool here. And if you pull these out, when they get big, the roots just come in. So water, every hour?
So the water will pump up.
I'll let you
and
talk
then it
about it.
trickles around the sides. There's dials here, so for the lights, I have these set every 15-minute increments, with the exception between 10 and 12 at night. Same thing with the water. It has a dial. It's down at the bottom, but you can set your increments as well.
So these ones we're gonna add to there, but this holds 20 gallons of water.
Mm-hmm.
You only change the water out every month if you're in a
Depends.
better state, climate wise, you probably only have to change it every 2 months. And to clean this is just we take them out. When these things grow out, first of all, one thing can yield 12 to 15. So it's if a whole stalk of celery grows out, you can cut it and just wait for more to keep growing. So it's super, we love it. So this is our second year doing this. And to clean it, you would just take these out completely. You'd remove these with the roots that are coming through, and you put them in a water bin. And then these you clean with we just did vinegar, baking soda, and water.
Yep.
That was the cleaning process. So I don't know, it's pretty cool. these tower gardens. They're through this company called Juice Plus, but we don't do the Juice Plus pills. And we don't work for them. We don't, but we just wanted their tower garden. But I should show you photos of the harvest that we had last year.
The other thing that you want to keep in mind is that for us, we have really harsh water out here. So you can't use the water softener for this as well. So if you guys saw it, all you have to do is just get a regular RV water filter, flush it through here, and then I check the pH balance of the water just to make sure it's correct. And then the rest will do itself. You set the timers up for as far as when you want it. The good thing about this, the indoor, there's pros and cons to everything, but this I can actually keep the light on, get an extra 5 hours out of the day. Same thing with the water. So that way they grow a little bit quicker versus using natural light outside. Plus, when we get our summer times out here, it's going to be super harsh outside, super dry, and you have to refill this thing, once a week it seems, especially when they start growing and the roots start sucking up the water.
You should probably link it then to your Instagram so people can watch your garden journey, because Jeff's so much better at this stuff than I am. But did you guys also know? So these lights, these UV lights, seriously work. We just took celery that we had, purchased from this organic celery, and if you it just grows like that. How cool. I mean, so many people, well, I don't think is it focusing or not?
And it's clean.
I didn't know that until recently. I was like, oh, nice.
And it's all clean, unfluoride water. There's no fluoride in this. So, when other places are growing or organically growing their own fruits and vegetables, even though they say it's organic, we still don't know what they're putting into their soil or anything else. This, we know exactly where it's coming from.
Yeah, and it's like, so the people with Juice Plus who do sell this, they don't really get much from this. I think their profit on this is like $50, not even $50 if you were to purchase one from them. They make many that are not as expensive, but okay, we'll be on. This was about $900 last year. So if you break it down monthly, it's like $72 a month, which after that was done and paid, $72 a month for just a year, and then it's paid off. Now, after the first year, by these yields, you guys, with what is coming out and what you just have on hand, you can have an attachment that's only like $20, I think, for microgreens, and you can add like another 20 microgreens, and it's seriously good. It turns out to be such a savings. No pesticides, none of that. So a few of the moms that we found it because there was a mom in Henderson, which is like 120 degrees in the summer, right? And in her backyard, so she didn't even have these outside. She harvested at the right time, so they already were like deeply rooted, and she just kept she had like a few of these outside in her garden. And I was just blown away. I'm like, this is the desert, and you're growing like everything. You can grow watermelons on this thing. So look up even just Tower Garden on Instagram and see what people are growing. This is for obviously the people that are living in like harsher climate areas. It's, I don't know, to me. So my friend who does this in Kentucky, when it's like snowing, she has, I think, 2 at this point in her house. And just, it's amazing what they're growing there. And then you don't have to go to, the grocery at all, or worry about the farmer's market when it's -14 out. But yeah, so we've got on the bottom, you put the heavier stuff on the bottom. We got cucumber, squash. But honestly, at this point, the celery lovers, if you just had this whole tower garden and you made like 2 rows just your celery, you're saving monthly.
Oh,
that's
for
it.
Sure. Celery
Game over. You've
$3
saved.
For organic stock now at the grocery store.
Yeah. I'm like, the lettuce too was so nice that like when I make my kids smoothies, that's what I use. I throw in the Swiss chard, the kale into their smoothies. The taste, you guys, night and day, even from the organic produce in the stores, because you know that nothing's been sprayed on this stuff.
And the kale's the black dino kale, and it comes out with these like really nice big leaves that are so good. And I'm not a huge fan of kale, but those are awesome. The power's not, or the taste is not overpowering.
And it does grow pretty quick. This is within a couple weeks that it's sprouting out like that. You initially, when you plant, put them in these, and you just wait till they get to about here. When they get to about here, then you pop them in. And
Well, those are
And yeah.
tomatoes, so we're gonna pot those in something else because
Oh, we didn't successfully. Yeah, that's right.
the-
Tomato is good on
Yeah.
this. Not for us, but people in California.
No, you can do tomato as well, but they need to have more of the actual sunlight versus and these indoor lights are good for leafy green leaves, leafy green stuff. So
And it's actually really nice lighting too. Look at this. Look at the light. Look at the light that comes out. It's very studio-esque.
but yeah, so I'm excited for this crop to yield.
Yeah. And anyway, so for those that have asked, what is that thing when I do my posts? They're like, what is that thing behind you? Or it's so funny when we get packages that are dropped off and like people are at the door and they see this, they swear we're growing, marijuana on here, which you can. You can. We might, you know what? Maybe we should just do that. Maybe we should just do our own CBD through here.
Yeah, that's a different type of stuff. That's entirely, that'll be something a little bit different, yeah.
I'm going to consider it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Everyone out there watching, thinking that how long does it take to grow celery? It kind of depends. We're testing it here. And honestly, for these to come out, you could see it within a few weeks. But climate-wise, like the friends in California that I have that have these, they just leave these out on their porch. A couple of them don't even live like where there's a garden. It's literally on their balcony, like on their balcony at their apartment. And that stuff just grows like wildfire. It's just like coming out and they don't have to do anything to it. And they're just like cutting whatever they need for the day. There's a few girls that will put on the top one flowers, just so like the guys don't have to go out and buy fresh flowers. They just cut up their own flowers from the top. So we've seen people do the craziest things with this. And anyway, so pretty good. He said legal here. It is legal.
That's true.
Drea, send me that funny video. What is she growing in that house? Well, we don't know yet. We'll see. But anyway, I like the indoors. When the weather started getting harsh, I was just more successful doing it this way because I didn't have to do anything. But when it's outside, you now got to deal with like, I don't know, they make wraps for it, which I think are overpriced, to avoid things like squirrels and the animals that want to get to stuff. But I didn't want to spend. I didn't want to have to spend, For me, I was like, okay, whatever. I do spend way too much on produce. I probably throw away $40 to $50 in produce every month that I just don't make it to because it's in my fridge and then it goes bad. Here, it doesn't matter. You just cut it when you need it, So it worked. Anyway. Okay, I got to prep for my meetings. And you guys, I don't know. We'll see. This may or may not save. Then we have to repeat all of this.
Good times.
I'm just tripping out with the mode here. Look at that. Look at how it looks back there.
That's my...
It's on wheels. Yeah, it's on wheels. It's easy to move. I would love to have like 3 or 4 of these in my backyard. I'm serious. And I wish that in Nevada, I don't want to say that actually because there's community groups for this. You can go on Facebook and find a bunch of like tower garden groups in your area. And a lot of these women are doing trades with like, oh, hey, I was successful with squash this season. And then you're like, oh, cool, let's trade. So I don't want to say that you can't because many Nevada moms have proven me wrong.
Yes.
When I'm like, you can't grow tomatoes on there. They die. They're like, look at all my tomatoes. And I'm just like.
Just like that.
I'm like, oh, way to brag and call me,
Call me out.
call me out. I think it also requires having a bit of a green thumb, AKA.
Well, this one is less of a green thumb because, the last time we tried to grow was prior to this was when we were in California, and that was a long time ago.
Well, we did this last year successfully.
Yeah.
But before that was
prior
those
to
garden
this.
boxes. We had garden boxes in California.
We did well.
Hated.
Carrots.
Yeah, but then when we tried to change them out end of the season, you got like roaches living underneath, and we were just not about that.
We should have a raised garden box.
I know. We did a lot of things wrong.
We're learning.
And so I was turned off by this in the beginning. I was like, I don't want to invest in that. And then, but when you guys saw what we yielded last year, right? A lot of you who were watching last year saw that the veggies that we were eating, the salads we were making were from this. And these moms that do this, they have garden parties. So they tell everybody, bring a topping for a salad and come and pick your lettuce. And it's actually,
I'd be the one to bring like fried bacon.
Fried
Like
bacon
that.
topping. You know, everyone's like, really?
It's organic.
Grow from the garden. Anyways, I gotta go, but whatever. I don't even know. I don't even know how to end these anymore. Have a good day. Sorry.